Do you like hot Cheetos? So do I. Be at Kinda Funny Live 3 and we can talk about it. kindafunny.com/KFL3.
This episode of Gamescast is brought to you by Movement Watches. They're founded on the belief that style shouldn't break the bank. The watchmaker's goal is to change the way that consumers think about fashion by offering high-quality, minimalist products at revolutionary prices. Movement Watches started just $95 at a department store. You're looking at $400 to $500, but they figured out a way to just cut out the middleman and make everything way cheaper, providing the best possible price. We're talking classic design, quality construction, and that styled minimalism everyone's always talking about. You should probably stop being late to that thing that you're always late to, and hey, you might as well look good doing it. Get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to movementwatches.com/kinda. That's mvmtwatches.com/kinda. Join the movement. What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode 120 of the Kinda Funny Gamescast. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by one of the coolest dudes in video games, Greg Miller.
Bonjour.
And joining us for the first time on this show?
On this show for the first time, yeah.
It's been a long time.
I've done every other show, including
You did an
Colin was
oration.
right.
Marty Sleva.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. Oh, claps.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah.
Exciting
of course.
time.
Yeah.
McBiggity himself.
Yeah,
On Twitter.
Yeah, that was very exciting when you guys invited me, and I had to trudge through strange neighborhoods of San Francisco to get here.
Yeah, you never
But
seen
you
some of
made
these
it.
places.
Yeah, I made it. Yeah, I left some of me in the Uber.
Sure, that happens.
He was a strange, quiet man who was driving very fast, but I left a part of me there.
That's
Good.
how it
Yeah.
happens. Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
That's fun.
Uber like that.
This is your
sometimes.
first time in the studio.
Yeah, it
Also
was
hard to
incredible.
believe.
Blows my mind.
It doesn't because I've seen so much stuff in here and the barbecues and everything, and so I had a mental picture. I was wrong.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
How
I
much do you think
didn't
it was going to be?
Well, I didn't realize there would be the weird. They made me. You guys made me eat the pickle salt. But
Yeah.
that was mostly
Yeah.
Andy.
Yeah, Andy
Made me eat the pickle salt.
shoving
Kevin
them
made me eat
pickles
the
in
pickle
people's
salt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have
Did
you guys
you like
talked? Yeah, I liked it a lot.
It's really good.
Yeah,
It's
I feel
addicting.
I
in
feel
a
like this is a
scary way.
slippery
My
slope.
thing with it is I just don't know when I would use it on anything.
Yeah.
They have a
Andy just
Andy-
puts it on his hand and just starts
and
licking
that
it.
doesn't seem like a life I want to lead.
I feel like I would pull it out at a bar to get some weird looks.
See, that's the thing. I understand tapping it in your beer.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a.
Oh no, I meant like pull it out in the bar and like put it on my
just eat it
hand
there?
and do
Yeah,
some
yeah,
stuff and
yeah.
Just do some
see how
stuff to-
folks
Sure.
See where it sticks.
see how folks react to that. Yeah.
Then when they started putting the other one, the lemon twang, on
Yeah.
their hot Cheetos.
Yeah, I really don't like the word twang.
No, I don't either. But that's why I
like
got to
it a lot.
respect the
Yeah.
culture.
Well, no, so that's what Andy does is he takes the
twangs.
pickle twang and he takes a bag of hot Cheetos, puts it all in there, and shakes that motherfucker up.
Andy's an interesting creature.
He really is.
What's interesting about him is you look at him and you'd imagine he's somewhat healthy. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You think he has it
He looks
somewhat
like he
together.
looks like he has his shit together.
Because he works out a little
Yeah.
bit, but he just eats trash.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? He's just a trash
he's healthy
panda.
on the outside, dead on the inside.
Yeah, exactly,
I
yeah.
love him.
Yeah.
Our sweet little boy, Candy Andy.
Candy Andy.
Candy Andy.
That's his new nickname.
That's his name at the Gold Club.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every week we get together to talk about video games and all the things we love about them. You can get it early at patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You can get it late on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Either way, we love and appreciate you very much. But we really appreciate Tom Bach, our Patreon producer, for the 10th month in a row.
Yeah.
Pulling that out of my
That's
ass.
all.
But it feels
He's
right.
got 2 months until a fake year. Since you just lied about
exactly.
that.
Yeah, he's the homie, though. He makes the things happen.
He came
you
through a
can
few
make
weeks
things
ago.
happen.
He was on the show.
And he was
awesome.
really good.
Yeah.
Really damn good. We did some early E3 predictions.
Yeah.
Yeah. People asking when we're going to do the E3 predictions, like the official ones with the bets and shit. That will be the episode that goes live right before E3.
The week before.
So, yeah. It would make-
Late on YouTube.
Late on
gonna be
YouTube.
like-
But even then, though, it'll still be coming out. That's an
I'm right.
interesting
You're wrong.
wrinkle
Yeah, you got to
there,
think
though.
about this. A wrinkle in time. Are you gonna get? Are they like bets where like the money has to go down to like the Caribbean, like those?
No,
kind of,
not.
like,
It's
illegal
not
bets?
that much of an offshore bet. It's the
Pinkies?
progression of the beyond bets where it was
Gotcha.
Colin tried to get down to the granular nature, but then he'd always end up losing. He'd have like 91
Yeah,
point, 0.91
yeah.
points.
I want to do it a little different this time, though. Like,
Sure.
I want to have some bigger bets overall about E3.
Yeah, you
Can we
guys
have a
can't
giant
puss-
board of
You guys
stuff?
can't puss out with bets either. You
No.
gotta go. I like Colin going granular. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't. Yeah,
I've never pussed out on a bet, sir.
Oh, my God.
All right?
I feel like he's pussed out before.
I've pussed out before for sure. I remember. Here's a great Greg Miller story for you.
God.
St. Petronell School, of course, where I went to school.
Sure.
K through 8.
Sure.
We had a pool. You know what I mean? Indoors, gross as hell. Gave me all sorts
Oh,
of
yeah,
warts on my
scabies
feet.
and whatnot.
Totally
Yeah.
separate story though. we had a bridge across it. You called it the bridge over the deep end. You know what I mean?
Probably do.
You guys really had amazing
that you
names
could
for
jump
this.
off of it. You know what I mean? Do all this different stuff. Finally, I psyched myself up. I don't know, first grade, we'll say, to go up there and jump off it or whatever. I was so stoked. Got to the edge, and then I pussed out and did the little wobble, and then turned around real quick as I fell and grabbed it and was on it like a Garfield on the back of it. You know what I mean? I was like holding the bridge like this, and like the swim teacher had to come up and get me off and stuff. In a similar bad swim story with Greg Miller, I once had a not so bad in my my swim trunks that I couldn't get them off, and the swim teacher had to come down there. She saw my dingling. She had to come do that though, and I totally delayed class. Like nobody could swim because I was all stuck.
No one can swim. Greg
You
was
ruined
stuck
swimming.
in his
You're like
shorts.
the town from Footloose that just banned
I know, yeah,
dancing.
but I wasn't doing it because I didn't want it. You know what I mean? I wasn't like I wanted to dance. They just wouldn't let me.
Oh my God. So, all right, getting back to it. The
E3
week
predictions.
going into E3, before E3, live on YouTube for public will be our predictions.
Right.
That's awesome.
Now, in addition to that, you are going to be gone on next week's episode of Gamescast.
Right.
We fucked this up last week when we
Right.
were talking about the future because we're not good at this whole scheduling thing.
Okay.
Greg's going to be at Judges Week, which is kind of the for people that don't know, because most people probably wouldn't know this.
Let's
Judges
listen to last
Week
week's Gamescast,
is-
where we explained it really well, except for the timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in my head, I'm like, next week, because we do that, the shows later or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, next week would be my last week in the office, so they wouldn't. It was just totally fucked up. Yeah.
He fucked up. But Judges Week is like a pre-E3 thing where Jeff Keighley invites the Avengers
superpowers.
of games journalism.
Steve, what's going for you?
No, I think Ryan McCaffrey's leading ours.
Oh, nice!
Yeah,
I get to hang out with Ryan. Awesome.
And everyone gets to go and see a bunch of games. Not all the games, but a bunch of games.
Yeah.
And I don't know how this normally works because I never went. But there's usually, like, if there's any huge surprise at E3, that's not there.
Yeah, they're usually not the big, like, and one more thing, Death Stranding.
It's
like,
the whole thing about Judges Week is that you go to the person, the judge, goes down there to represent the thing to play the playable games that'll be at E3, so that when E3 comes and you see the rest of the games that are playable there, you can vote on what the best games at E3 were. When it's like, hey, there's a Spider-Man trailer, you wouldn't see that early. Anything that's not playable, you're not going to see early.
And there's also being a judge. So, like, an outlet like IGN can send multiple people, but only one person is the judge.
Yeah.
And the judge gets to go hands-on with certain things that are only shown hands-off at E3. So, like, a judge last year at E3 could go hands-on with Days Gone. Or if you were me and just walked into that room, you could go hands-on with Days Gone.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, all the times I went where it was Hillary or Steve or whatever, where it was like, sorry, this is a judges only event or whatever, and then you come by later and they invite you in to play or
You
whatever.
come in
stuff
with
like that.
the wig.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd be
The
like,
little gavel.
Okay.
That dude's definitely a judge.
I'll be the judge of that.
You try to make a Judge Dredd helmet. You're like, it kind of looks like Mega Man, I think.
Yeah. No, this has been a fun week because now the fog of war is starting to clear.
Yeah.
Where people are like, hey, we want to book you for this E3. We have this game and this thing and this unannounced game. And I'm like, will I get to see these next week so I don't have to see them at E3? And they're like, you'll get to see those. I'm like, awesome. Unannounced
Dude,
games.
it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a big one. Last year was kind of small. This year's going to be pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very, very, very excited about that. I'm upset we're going to be missing you. But next week, there's a lot of Destiny 2 info. So I'm trying to get Sean the Shark Finnegan.
Nom nom.
And
If you take him away from our Destiny coverage, I'm going to cut you.
No, you get that.
He'll
we're out to get
amplify
that shit
it.
late.
Yeah.
He's here to promote it.
Sean's hosting their shit. Probably
Yeah.
co-hosting. I'm
Man.
sure there's someone else.
Yeah, I think Jose is.
Bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. But he's there. He's there. So anyway, that's really cool.
Yeah.
What games have you guys been playing?
So I'm still in the midst of my Persona 5, just like adrenaline-fueled haze. 65 hours into
Damn,
it.
nice.
I'm on the 6th Palace. It's grabbed me in a way that I didn't think it would, or any game this year would. Like, I played Zelda. I'm almost done with Zelda because I pretty much play it while traveling.
Sure.
And I'm like, yeah, this is game.
Did you
of
play
the year.
Horizon?
Yeah, I loved Horizon. I mean, we can talk already. Q1's been the best Q1 ever.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, far and away. But then playing through Persona, I'm like, this has hooked me more than any game, I think, probably in my career.
Wow.
In terms of, I will put like 30 hours through a weekend. I turned down a real life date because I was at my confidence rank with On was at 8.
Yeah.
And I was like, instead of going out tonight, I can finally start going out with On.
That's what real
Who's my
confidence
girl.
looks
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Yeah. But then it got really weird because she said
Then
she
it got
loved me
weird.
right after that. And I was like,
You're like, you're not ready for
"Ooh,
that."
I wasn't ready for that.
Okay,
And
so-
like we're dating and we're monogamous, but I haven't met all the
Yeah,
it's-
you can't commit to a
Oh,
girl.
God.
Can't commit
yeah,
to a girl too
it's
early
tough.
in that.
But I think On's gonna be my girl.
Okay.
A lot of people say Makoto is. Yeah. A lot of people say Futaba is.
Sure.
Yeah.
What's the cat's name?
It's
Morgana.
Morgana.
who I'm still not sure is a boy cat or a girl cat.
You'll
I
find
want
out.
to fuck it either
You'll
way.
find out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you finish
There's
it?
different rules with cats.
That's the problem I have with Persona 5 is that I love it so much, but it is so all encompassing.
Yeah.
And it's for me, it's that interesting thing of, going to get Jen, then getting married, all this stuff happening. I had to be pulled away from it moving, right? Like
Yeah.
I just started hooking the consoles back up. And so I've been, Mario Karting it up because that was what was happening there. And it was like, all right, cool. This is a great natural break. And then today I edited a Persona 5 video we're putting up. And it was one of those watching the clips like, fuck, do I want to go back and keep playing this? And it's like, my thought was like, I know I'm going to get back to it eventually, but like Prey's here. And it's like,
Yeah.
I feel like I need to stop and just knock out Prey because that's only 40 hours or you know what I mean? Like I should focus on getting something
Have you
done here.
played any Prey?
Yeah, I've played about 6 or 7 hours of it. I love it so far.
Yeah.
Early on, I mean, I think the atmosphere world building, like it is nailing that BioShock thing of the
100%.
opening, which I think is awesome. I think early combat is really bad. Like when you just have a wrench or a pistol, the game is not fun to fight mimics. But once it starts giving you more abilities, more weapons, and you start like sort of expanding your tree, it becomes something really special.
Nice.
That being said, Dan Stapleton, who's reviewing it for us, has had several game-breaking bugs.
Because it's PC. Don't
Yeah.
play on PC. It's simple.
Kids, don't play on PC.
They made consoles for a reason. They're
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Last night I played through all of Edith Finch. Finally.
What remains?
That was the one that hurt me so bad because I love Giant Sparrow and I fucking loved The Unfinished Swan. And so waiting, and literally it hits is like everything went into upheaval of like,
it was like the busiest week of your life.
I gotta tear all these things up and do all these things. Like, fuck. And so it was like, I had it downloaded, I was all set, and it was like last night we came home from dinner and I'm like, Jen, let's just play through this. Just sit down with me and do it. And that was like a great experience of sitting there, talking to her, like, playing. This is our first game, I think, start to finish, we sat down and played.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? So, like,
It is that perfect, like...
what do you think is happening?
And it's also, it's movie length. It's an hour and 45 minutes,
Yeah,
2
exactly.
hours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was like, there's so many awesome, they do such a great job of breadcrumbing it, of just like, from the moment you get in there, I'm just like, what the fuck happened here?
Yeah.
Like, why is it like this? And what is going on? Why did everyone leave in a hurry? And trying to figure all that out. It was like, I couldn't wait to get to the end to figure it out.
And it's one of those games, it's hard to talk about like the exact reasons I love it because the specifics will spoil things that ultimately, like, not knowing things going in, especially
100%.
like stories in the back half of the game, not knowing what they were, like how they would play out was one of the coolest experiences I've had this year.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if I can interrupt you for 1 second with you host Tim. If we got through all the games, if we could do a little bit of a all right spoiler cast version of this
cool.
game because I'd love to actually talk about it.
Yeah, because there are a few
Okay.
of them that I totally want to just be like, this is cool. Because
Let's
of this.
pause right now, then talk about what you've been playing, and everything else, and go from there.
Yeah, the one thing that I've been playing is Fire Emblem Echoes, which is something that I can't believe that I played because I talked so much shit about it. It's like, why is there so much Fire Emblem being thrown at us? I love Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
But like when we got that direct, I'm like, guys, I can wait. I can wait for the Switch one. Like Awakening, fantastic game on 3DS, and then Fates, all three of them, awesome. So into that. But that was just last year.
Yeah.
And that was a lot, especially with all the DLC. Lot of
in
Fire Emblem
3
there.
games.
Yeah,
Like, that's
exactly.
a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot. So I'm like, I don't necessarily need more Fire Emblem right now. And I was just like, and especially on 3DS, I'm like, give it to me on the Switch. This is just a disaster. Like, come on. I get why they're doing it, but I'm just like, But then Nintendo sent it, and I was looking at it, and I was just like, fuck.
It's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah.
So I brought it home last night. I played for like an hour and a half or so. And it's just like, it's one of those things where I'm like, all right, I'm so into the story. I never played the original. This is a remake.
So this is a remake of the original.
This is a remake
Famicom
of the
one.
second one,
Okay.
Fire Emblem
Yeah,
2.
yeah.
There was a remake of Fire Emblem 1 called Shadow Dragon on the DS back in the day. That's the game with Marth.
Yeah.
This is Fire Emblem 2, which was called Fire Emblem Gaiden back on the NES. And it was a bit of like many NES games. The second one was a little bit different in style than the first one. So this is a remake of that on the 3DS. and it for the first time in Fire Emblem adds 3D dungeon crawling for some parts, and that shit sucks. It's so it's so gimmicky.
I said ooh too quickly.
No, but I mean, it's like
You got excited for it?
the problem with it is it feels so shoehorned in, and it doesn't add to the gameplay at all. It's just kind of there, and I'm always just like, I just want to get back to the Fire Emblem part. Like whenever I was playing, and to be fair, there wasn't too much of it that I had to go through. But the biggest issue with it is that it's still built on the engine of Awakening. So and it's just it doesn't ever look as good as other 3D. The dungeon parts don't look as good as like Pokemon Sun and Moon, for example. So just kind of like a weird thing that they put in just because like you could tell that they're like, all right, well the last couple 3DS Fire Emblem games have had a lot of really good content in it. We need to add something to this NES game. You know, to kind of beef it up a bit.
Yeah. My biggest fear with this thing, I mean, there's two things. One is I feel like Fire Emblem is like that dude in the movie Thinner. He was this fat dude who ran over.
I thought it was going to be the guy who's thinner.
No, it was that. He ran over the young gypsy girl.
Sure, but she wasn't young. She was old.
No, but he ran over a young one, and then the old woman who was like her grandma said, like, I put a curse on you, Thinner.
Man, I remember the grandma who cursed him being a man, like an old man.
Oh, I could be wrong.
No, I think you're right.
I haven't seen Thinner in quite some time.
No, I think you're right that it was an old gypsy woman.
I feel like I was okay. So Fire Emblem. The thing is, for so long we were like, why isn't this thing in America? Why don't we have this? Where is this? And all of a sudden it's like we're cursed with so much Fire Emblem.
Super Smash Brothers, new character announcements.
Yeah, here's 3 games in a year. Here's the NES game. Here's a mobile game. And we're just sort of like, all right, pump the brakes for a bit. Also, I don't want anything on my 3DS anymore. I just want things on my Switch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it pulled me back in, but that's because the Fire Emblem games are quality games, and this is a quality game. And the story, I'm like, oh man, like this seems like a good Fire Emblem story, because some of them are a little hit or miss. I'm like, I'm totally sold. Fairly generic, 2 kingdoms, fighting, whatever. But I'm like, oh shit, I'm hooked on this, and I think I'm gonna keep playing it. There's certain features in it that, in some ways, it feels backwards because there's not the same type of support system that the Awakening and Fates had. Because the old game didn't have that.
Yeah, 30 years
so
old.
there's no marriage and all that stuff. There's still like the tech support stuff, but.
Tech support.
Yeah.
Well, who needs marriage when you have tech support?
So that
Geek
stuff's
Squad?
fine. But then the problem is, since it's an old game and the maps are all super barren and they're open and they're not as fun as the newer ones.
Yeah.
And there's too many frustrating points where there's like choke points where it's like only a single unit can like go through. And it slows the gameplay down a bit, where I'm like, it just feels like they just put this out just to put it out. And I'm like, it's not bad. It's just not nearly as good as the other two.
Yeah.
Or 4, depending on how you want to talk about them.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but there is a cool feature where one of the main characters has an ability called her turn wheel, where you can kind of rewind time a bit. So if a character dies, you can make that not happen, and it's part of the gameplay, so it's not like turning off the permadeath shit.
I don't know.
They have casual mode now, but no one does that.
I like that in games. Like Rare Replay had that. Disney Afternoon Collection had that, where it's like, hey, these games are like tough as piss. Like Battletoads is so hard. Like DuckTales 2 is so hard. So just if you want to get through it, just use the rewind.
Yeah,
I like that. It's like Braid, but I don't cry at the end.
Now, the Braid thing. Do you remember the Soldier Boy video of him playing Braid?
Yeah,
Okay.
I tried to get Soldier Boy to do the same thing for The Witness.
What'd he say?
Turns out it's kind of hard to get in touch with Soldier Boy, which I found weird because I thought it'd be easy.
Yeah. Tim talked about Soldier Boy today, and he's like, how do you know him super well? I'm like, I know, the name I know, and I remember the Braid video. He's like, what Braid video? I'm like, the funniest video of all time.
No.
So why did you do that for The Witness?
This game don't make no sense. You can just rewind it.
Yeah.
I love everything about
I
that.
imagine him doing those little line snake TV puzzles in The Witness.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd have been
Oh
great.
my God. Anyway, that's all I have to say about Fire Emblem.
Okay.
Let's go back now. We're getting into spoiler mode for what remains of Edith Finch.
Finch.
Yeah.
Like the bird.
Go
Yeah.
for it, boys.
Okay, so this is spoiler mode. We can take the gloves off.
Yeah.
Did you expect the unfinished swan thing?
No.
'Cause I totally fucking
And it was
didn't.
totally that thing where the wheels clicked into place.
Yeah.
Because the kid was named Morton there too,
yeah.
right? And I didn't even think about it, didn't do anything. And I'm with Jen last night, and I got up to the clock tower, and I
all of a
looked
sudden
in,
the music
and I went,
hits.
holy shit.
Yes.
And she's like, what? And I'm like, it finally makes sense why this kid's painting everywhere.
yep.
You looked and you saw the frog painting and the gold and the, I was like,
That's
holy.
awesome.
And so then I started
the
going back in my
music
head.
hit in, it was so
I'm going back in my head. I'm like, wait, so is this legitimately the kid? And I'm like, because his mom died and we didn't know what happened to her and I'm like running through my head. I'm like, fuck, is this the thing? Like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's him. And Ian Dallas said on Reddit that, it's totally canonical. Like the Unfinished Swan is that. He is the king of that kingdom.
That when he disappeared and nobody knows where he went,
yeah.
he went into the painting, and it was like, what a brilliant fucking thing. And I was because they kept it strong. I thought what was going to happen, of course, is that we got to the end and he was going to be there, or you know what I mean. That
Yeah.
Morton was going to be the one that we didn't know about, because especially when she says earlier, I'm the last, or maybe one
Or
of
maybe,
two.
yeah.
And then you don't. Yeah, I haven't put it together. She was
Definitely,
pregnant.
she was pregnant,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it was like, okay, cool, whatever. And then it was like, but I was like, it was one of the few moments where I like, holy shit.
Shit,
She's
yeah.
like, what? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't even know how to put this into words to you.
If someone didn't play the Unfinished Swan or didn't remember it, you sound insane trying to explain it. But the fact that it was 4 or 5 years ago, probably since Unfinished Swan.
Yeah, I mean, I
was
did it at
2012.
IGN.
Yeah.
It was Judgment Day.
Yeah, it was Judgment Day. That's
Yeah.
right. That was one of the games that year.
Yeah.
Lost a Journey.
Yeah.
That was a very good game too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
Better
moment, the horror movie one.
Yeah,
the one
right?
that
The
all of a
Crypt
sudden-
Keeper, Tales from the Crypt.
and
Yeah.
John Carpenter's Halloween theme
Yep.
kicks in, and it's this cell shaded
This sounds
first
fucking
person.
awesome.
Dude, this
shooter,
game is
like-
something amazing.
That's the thing is, like, you think you know what this game is because it's all these vignettes you play,
Yeah.
and you think you're like, oh, this one's an animal. Like, I'm turning into animals. It's kind of janky. This one, I'm a kid on a swing. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they're like, curveball, curveball, curveball.
Yeah.
The one where the right stick is playing an evolving RPG while
Yeah.
the left stick is a fishmonger.
I had to, when I got to that part last night, and it was like I had flown back from North Carolina that morning, so I'm running on like no sleep. I was like, I had to sit up, and Jen's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, hold on. I just gotta focus for a second here," because it was totally one hand doing one thing
Yeah.
and the other doing the other, and I was like, "What the fuck?" That, I mean, like then just the regular narrative, like going down and like this guy you thought was gone or dead or whatever is just
Which is in a bunker.
has been living under the house for forever.
Yeah.
Like Jesus, and then
Yeah.
he finally comes out and gets hit by a train. You're
Yeah.
like, Jesus, what a great,
Yeah,
what a
that
morose
stuff,
motherfucker.
The shooting the deer for the first time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was tragic. Yeah, the game sounds. We literally sound insane.
This
Trying
sounds.
to-
What the? I thought you were talking about just the Unfinished Swan part. Sounds insane.
Oh,
no. This
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
thing sounds insane.
Dude, it's one of those, like, I was worried about this one because it was that, man, Giant Sparrow, you're on to something. I loved this. I love the fact that that Sony brought you in like they did,
That game company.
Thank you
Game
very
company,
much. And
yeah.
signed you to this 3-game deal, and you're going to do all this stuff. And then when Giant Sparrow put it up, way too early.
Yeah.
And said our next game is Edith Finch, and then they tore it down a few hours later. You're like, Sony's probably not happy about that.
Well, and I played the animal part at Judges Week 2 years ago. And
Right.
so that was literally 2 years ago.
And then-
I played that part. And so that's why I was like, I was the same way for the game of like,
Well, since then, it's been dropped by Sony, right?
Yeah,
It got picked up by
exactly.
Anna Purana.
yeah,
I can't ever
which is
pronounce it.
awesome
Yeah, yeah.
because that's like they produce fucking rad movies, and all of a sudden they have some of the coolest indies on the horizon.
Well, and I was like, man, how do they do this? And then I go through and I saw Deb Mars pop up. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Deb went there.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
wonder this is what's happening. Yeah, because she was at Sony Santa Monica
Yep.
forever,
Yep, yep,
incubating
yep.
all these different
Yeah.
people. And so, yeah, I was like, ooh, I hope this game comes together and is as good as we hope it is. Because this is that game company curse as well of just like, man, we loved that game. Holy shit, your next game was better. Holy shit, your third game was amazing. And now Jujanovic Hen's like, I don't know what's happening.
I mean, that's the insane thing is like 4 years, 5 years, I guess, since Unfinished Swan seems like an eternity, especially
Yeah.
for like a smaller indie game. But when you think, well, this game came out and it's great, but all we know about that game company game
Yeah.
is that logo, or right? Did it even have a name? It was
Yeah, I
just like a
don't-
bunch
yeah,
of
yeah,
people
yeah.
like in a field.
Yeah, yeah,
And-
a new one? No.
Yeah, their fourth game. They like
Yeah.
showed the logo. It was like a
What?
bunch. It was
How
like
did I
people
miss
in a
this?
field. This was.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, probably 4 months ago, 5 months
the
ago.
fuck?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was literally all it was. It was like a triptych. I think they released 3 pictures. Is that what a triptych is?
I don't know.
Isn't that what a triptych is? It's
Triptych.
three images that create one image. It's a triptych, kids.
I thought a
Look it up.
trick dick was like when you do like you go to those penis shows. Yeah. Just going up. What's your trick? I go up and I go down.
It's not a trick. It's a trip. A triptych.
Yeah, I know. I
It's
know
like
what you're
going on
trying to
like
say. I
a
just know what it
vacation
is.
with a penis.
Whoa, yeah. November 1st, 2016.
But
It looks like some Breath of the Wild shit.
Wow. Thanks for going to Polygon
I just
IGN.com.
went
Hey,
to
man,
whatever
search
Google.
results, you know what I mean?
Google
Dude, their
gave me.
SEO is so good. I don't know how they do it. We're trying to figure it out.
just ask him.
They got magic
Arthur, how do you
behind
do it?
The unnamed title simply referred to as, quote, that next game.
Nice.
I love that.
Nice.
That next game.
All right, there's some weird candles
Yeah.
involved.
But I was such an
Kinda
Unfinished
Funny
Swan
Blue.
fan because that year
same.
I think I
mean,
can't remember if I voted for Journey, but I think I might have pulled.
You might have voted for The Walking Dead.
Yeah, that
that
I know.
year was fucking awesome.
But I
Yeah.
remember stumping hard for Unfinished Swan just because I thought it was so great and I loved the narrative.
Yeah.
And I reviewed it and I called it like a hot. It reminded me of drinking cocoa under a blanket. It was like that.
Yeah.
Like what a great
Yeah,
feeling.
like
You know
a fairy
what I mean?
tale, yeah.
exactly. And so to have this tied into the universe, but like it was one of those things I never thought about. I never bothered to even wonder if these were in the same universe. And then to get there, like holy shit, how fucking brilliant is that? But then just like the game does such a great job of like I was saying in the beginning, like breadcrumbs throughout of okay, cool, like. Wait, why did everybody leave here in the middle of just the night and like just gone?
Literally, there's Chinese food left on the counter because people just fucking
the showrunners
vamped.
from years ago. Yeah.
yeah.
And then you get to that first bedroom door and she's like that, and then mom sealed all the bedroom doors. I'm like,
What?
Your mom's a sociopath. What the fuck happened here? And and then it was the nods back to where like there was a comment of like one or two. I'm like, oh, Morton. All right, I know where you're going with this. And I remember, and it didn't make sense to me until we got the reveal of her being pregnant because I looked down and I was like, oh. Okay, this is interesting. And like you could see her belly, and I thought it was just a weird perspective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then she made an interesting comment of like you could tell these passageways were made for smaller hands and lighter bellies or something like that. And I was like, that's a weird thing to say.
It's also
really
the game.
weird
The
to
first 20 seconds of the game, you play as her son. You're on that boat. You're on the ferry.
Yeah, with the
and you
broken
look,
arm.
You have the cast and everything, and so. But it's one of those things you don't know anything about the game, so you don't. You almost forget what that is.
My thought was going to be that I was going to break my arm in this journey, and that was me.
Oh, this was like
with
you coming
my
back.
diary,
Gotcha.
coming back after the whole
Gotcha.
adventure or whatever.
Yeah.
Now,
It's a really good game.
so do you think she dies during childbirth? Do you know? Have you? I haven't looked at anything since I didn't know anything going in.
Yeah, I haven't
looked at
actually deep dived. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Is that he is the last living one, and that he is learning who his mom was via this journey.
Because Jen and I were having this conversation, we were sitting there talking about afterwards of like she writes the thing and she's like, if you're reading this, I actually don't even want to give this to you. I want to tell you all these stories in person, but if you're reading this, I'm guessing I'm already gone.
Yeah.
And that was my thing of like, oh, and then when it popped up her family tree and it said 2017 for her, I was like, did she die during childbirth? And then he's getting this to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
But what a fucked up family. They are cursed. 100%. All those people die in weird ass ways.
Oh yeah, it's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Sticking your head in the fucking fish grinder.
Yeah,
Don't do that. Don't do
This
that.
game sounds crazy.
It is.
Don't stick your head in the fish grinder.
Go play it
Also,
tonight.
the baby drowning in the bathtub. That whole scene where it turns into like fucking Fantasia.
And it was like that thing of like, as soon as we went there, I was like, here's how it's going to go. Like, here's where, and Jen's like, jump on the handle. I'm like, I know that's what's going to happen at some point, but we're not there. And it's like the fucking dad leaving the letter to the mom on the divorce fucking decree about this. You're like, fuck.
The thing is, like, if you take away the magical realism, this is the most depressing, just nonstop, brutal, emotional beating you will ever take. But the magical realism adds light and hope to everyone.
Yeah.
Pixar movie.
It is, but except if it was like, this baby's dying, but there's fun.
Yeah. Let's draw a little doodle of him on the family tree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really good stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Spoiler mode is now over, which I guess is impossible to tell.
Yeah, I know,
just
but
skip
we
it around
when
or
you're shouting out
whatever.
for somebody, maybe on the audio, the full
Whatever.
thing, they know what's happening.
Yeah,
You
hopefully
do
they
this
know.
whole thing with the
We can
tab
still
on the
say
head.
Snape killed Dumbledore's, right?
Yeah, on page whatever it was.
Yeah. 69. Nice.
69.
It was actually pretty late in the Half-Blood Prince. It wasn't 69.
You can click here for more game stuff. You can click there for more non-game stuff. You can click here to support us. And guess what's over here? I don't even know myself.